So literally, my injuries were from head to toe. My jaw was broken. It was completely detached from my mouth. I had a split upper jaw, my lip was split open. I had a ruptured bladder, which meant I was bleeding internally and that they had to cut me open and go and figure out what was going on. And I had a broken arm and 5 pelvic breaks, which meant I could not walk. I had to think like a paralyzed person. I was in a wheelchair for 3.5 months.
All I could think about was that someone had purposely done this to me. Someone had thought it would be funny to throw a brick through my windshield. I know it might sound funny, but my heart didn't break for me. My heart broke for them. I had a choice. I could either allow it to be all about me and my pain, or I could use this situation to show Christ's love. 5 months later, I was able to sit in a courtroom and tell that 18-year-old boy that I forgave them. It was because I knew Christ's love that I was able to say that. And if for the only reason for that accident to happen, that was worth it, to be able to share Christ's love with him.
I literally had to break my entire body to where I could not move, so I could finally listen to his will for my life.
Looking back, I wondered, if I was in God's will, why would he allow this to happen to me? But then it dawned on me, God uses this to bring us closer to him and to make us stronger.
The average person will experience a trial and they'll freak out. They will lose sense of reality. They will do things that normally they wouldn't. But a believer looks at the situation, doesn't enjoy it, doesn't like the accident, is not happy about the accident, but will look in that moment and say, I see ahead of me something better, something that will make me stronger, something that will build endurance, something that will give me wisdom. And they rejoice, not at the accident, they rejoice in what is to come. And that's what James has called us to do, is we rejoice in what is going to come, no matter what we go through. Tonight, to close, it's hard to even follow that, but I think there's 3 groups of people that we must talk to tonight. And the first one are those of you that are going through something. You are going through a trial. You are going through a moment of suffering right now. This is what I want to say to you. You are not alone. And I can tell you from my life experience that the moment that I felt that God was the furthest was the moment that he was the closest he'd ever been. It's this beautiful picture that most of us have seen, where if we could walk in the sand, if we could look at the sand as we would walk, we would see 2 footprints, 2 sets of them. We'd see ourselves, and then we'd see God walking right next to us. But then these moments come, these trials, these moments of suffering, these unexpected times, and we'll look around and we'll say, where'd the other footprint go? God, where'd you go? What are you doing? But what's happened is he didn't leave us. He picked us up, and he's carrying us. He's carrying us. And And I know it's never fun, and it is nearly impossible to sit in a moment of pure devastation and say, I see the joy in it. But that's what God has called us to do. That's what being a believer is all about. It's not easy, but it is unbelievably rewarding if we are faithful to Him. You are not alone, and I pray you get that tonight before you leave this place. In a minute, we'll have a prayer team on the side, and we'd love to pray with you, but you know that that relationship is between you and God, and you can pray to Him anytime, not to get His attention, but because you have His attention. That's a beautiful thing. You are not alone. The second group I want to talk to are those that do not know Him. Our movie that we've been talking about, the second major theme of that story is the entire time she is mad at her father because of some things he has done in the past. And through that time, she has completely abandoned him. She has completely left him. She has completely destroyed a relationship that he so badly wanted to have with her. And if I could be brutally honest with us tonight, I would say that there's some of us in this place that we've done the same thing to God. Maybe it's a trial. Maybe it was a moment of weakness when a parent died or something drastic happened and you just said, forget God, because He just doesn't, He's not for me. He's against me. Can I promise you something? That is not true. That is not true. And if that's you, I pray you repair that relationship tonight. The other half of that are those that you've never heard this before. Or maybe you've just never grabbed it. You've never abandoned God. You never did that, but you've just never really understood it. Tonight is your night. There is a word that they call a spouse that loses their spouse. For instance, a wife that loses a husband, she's called a widow. There's a word for children that lose a parent. They're called an orphan. But there is not a word for a parent that loses a child. And I think in God's own just beautiful humor, He's kept the world from ever giving that a name. Because I don't think He can live with it. Many of us in this room, we're not parents. Some of us are, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But one day you will. But when you create a child and you lose it, there is nothing that could be more devastating. Now, why am I telling you that? Because I think there's a God that created you. And He wants you so bad to just come to Him. He sees you going through your struggle. He sees you going through your trial. And He's begging you, if you would just turn to me, I would be there for you. I would hold you. I would pick you up in those moments when you thought I left you alone. That's what He wants. You can have that tonight. Don't leave this place without it.